Telangana offers outsized rewards, that is strong monetary rewards to superstar scientists. So scientists who are leading in, say, AI, computer vision, quantum computing, all of these fields, which are the fields for the future, we give them steep rewards and lure them back to Telangana. So this was, and then we have outlined several other initiatives in that chapter that you will see in the Telangana vision document. But then I would first like to get the perspective of Shri Krishna Bhaskar as a policy maker. So, you know, he is someone who, as an engineer, understands the technology very well, as an economist, understands incentives very well, and as a bureaucrat, understands the challenges very well. So I thought I would begin by asking him, how does he view the whole exercise, what we have done or attempted to do in proposing how Telangana will become, as Sir said, the hub of global or Asia's hub of innovation, what he sees as the practical challenges and what he sees as the, not just challenges, but opportunities. Over to you.
Thanks, Aditya. I hope I'm audible. So the idea is essentially, we've set ourselves, thank you sir, we've set ourselves a goal which is, frankly speaking, unprecedented in economic history, and I believe it has been done after a lot of cogitation on this respect. And the analogy which comes to mind when I think of this is, back in the early 60s, and in fact late 50s, when the USSR beat the US in the rocket race and launched Sputnik, there was a lot of despondency. That very term, which is very, I think it's best translated in the Urdu term mayusi, on all of America, that the Soviets had actually beaten us in the space race. There's nothing left for us there. At that point of time, John F. Kennedy came up with a very mission which sounded extremely outlandish and impossible. I think it was back in 1961, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely the early 60s, 60 or 61, just after he took over as president. When the Soviets beat the Americans and the entire world was talking about the technological superiority of the USSR vis-a-vis the US, he said something audacious which no one was prepared for. He said, by the end of this decade, we'll put a man on the moon. And he was ridiculed in the American media for it. And it wasn't deemed possible. But the sheer force of that public pronouncement and the sheer passion and the aggression behind setting a goal for the nation as a whole got all of them together. And I still remember there were people like Werner von Braun, he was originally a Nazi, a German scientist who built their rockets, the Saturn rockets. All of these people heard of this vision and became even more passionate and motivated than they originally were. And NASA, which until then never used to get a lot of funding, and which was never a big agency, captured the American imagination. So there are some things in life you can create or you can will by making them publicly available in the mind space of every citizen. And they may not happen otherwise. And in my sense, this $3 trillion goal is an extremely ambitious goal. Forget about your annualized growth rate of 13-14%. If you take into account your rupee depreciation, you're looking at 17-18%. And this is year on year for 22 years. It's a very, very, very ambitious goal. But the thing is, if you aim at that sort of galaxy, you will be able to get through some sort of critical mass, which will take you to places which you haven't otherwise been taken. So I believe, in terms of a stretch goal, this is like a clarion call to the entire state, its network of innovators, entrepreneurs, policy makers, to try to figure out what is it exactly, what it is the constraint.
And she said to me, and I remember that statement, that yes, my life has changed, people's perception of me has changed, money and everything and fame, but I haven't changed as a person. Ladies and gentlemen, P.V. Sindhu. Azhar bhai.
Jitendra Reddy garini sadhananga vedika meeku aahvanistha unnam. Thank you.
Welcome, sir. Welcome. Azhar bhai, yesterday night also when you and I were chatting and I asked you this question, I ask again. When I see, firstly, your career, legendary cricketer, made a difference, one of our favorites, know you from 1986, 85, 86, that tour, 300s. But now, let me ask you a specific question. After the Women's World Cup, Mithali Raj, Arundhati Reddy, Sri Charani, the tradition is here. Are you planning something special to give the fillip to the women's game in Telangana? Because according to me, the opportunities are endless. And while we say that it's a level playing field, it's not. Match fees are the same. Central contract, 7 crores for men, 50 lakhs for women. So there is a big gap there. Are you, and the grassroots, practically no money. Are you going to sort of do something special in the light of the Women's World Cup to give a fillip to the women's game? Mohammad Azharuddin.
I think, Boria, the Telangana has produced many women players who have won a lot of medals. 2 are already here. And then Sania is there, and Saina Nehwal is there now. Nikhat Zareen also, they've won a lot of medals. So there is a lot of encouragement for women in Telangana. And they've won a lot of medals also. But I think the grassroots level thing, I'm also very in favor of grassroots level. But at the same time, I think what happens is, even if you pick people at the grassroots level, first you have to look at the skill. If you don't have the skill in a particular sport which you are picking up, then there's no point going ahead with the player. Because I remember about 3 or 4 years back, and I took somebody to Gopi's academy, and he looked at that person and he said, okay, no, it's not possible that he's going to play big badminton matches. So that's what we need from players, from coaches also. Because I think when you have the skill, then only all these things come up. Dedication, application, everything, hard work. If you don't have the skill, even if I have a skill to play cricket, then if I start playing football, then I'll be wasting my time and wasting everybody's time. So I think the Telangana Sports Hub also has been created by the Honorable Chief Minister, who is also a very avid sportsman. He plays a lot of football, and you will definitely see him in action on the 13th when he's going to play with one of my favorite players, Lionel Messi. And I think Telangana has already done a lot, and it's going to do well, because with this new future city which is coming up, there will be a lot of facilities. Because when I was growing up, when I was playing, there were hardly any facilities. We played on very, very different grounds. I want to tell you something, that I'm very, very lucky that I have not been injured very badly. I mean, the grounds we played and the wickets we played without helmets, everything, as a youngster, I'm very lucky. I mean, if you ask me to play now, I will not play, because it's not good. Because the facilities now have improved. I think you have a lot of coaches who are really very, very good. And then if you see, I mean, especially in the cricket, you have more staff traveling than the players. If I'm right, I would definitely say about that. And I think the facilities are very good, and the platform is there for the players, but how well they use that platform. I mean, winning a gold medal, and it's not very easy, and an Olympic medal, actually, Sindhu has already done that, and Jwala is also here, and Gopi Bhai is already, won the All England badminton. So I'm a very avid sports watcher. I mean, I like watching sports, but I think the most important thing I want to tell is that if you find somebody who's very skillful, who's very good, please take care of all his problems, starting from family till he goes up. Because what happens is, there are so many players who come up, they have a lot of family problems. Okay. They want to, their parents, a lot of pressure is there on the parent. They want their son to do something, get a job, and then get their sister, get married, all the things. If you find somebody who's exceptionally well, you please take care of all his things. Just tell him, go and play. Don't worry about what is happening. That is the one thing we should do it. Because if you do that, you'll get many, many players. Because most of the players, they just fall away because of this problem.
Okay. So opportunity. If you try and understand what Azhar was talking about, opportunity, and that's what brings me to Jwala. Jwala, to see a summit like this mainstream sport, this is clear mainstreaming sport. We've seen in India, various states, if there are convocations, congregations like this, sport is a silo. It's like, okay, there will be one panel, 20 minutes at the end of the day. Here, it's mainstream. Whether it's the CM's vision of bringing in corporates and sports people together, whether we are seeing what we are seeing on the dais. In your case, the word that was used for you, trailblazer. When you started out, no facilities whatsoever. To win a world championship medal in 2011, to be the best in the world in doubles, Commonwealth Games gold, and now what are the changes, Jwala, you are seeing in Telangana that will enable the next Jwala Gutta to come up, pick up a badminton racket and make a mark?
Hi, good morning everyone. What I feel is that, I was lucky to have a coach like Arif sir. I think he was a consistent coach whom I trained under. And that's what I feel. I feel we are not doing enough for the coaches. Every time when the sports is mentioned, we just think about the athletes and who are going to win the medals. But I think there are a lot of work which is done behind. Everybody, I'm sure everyone agrees, a good support system which includes coaches is not what we are focusing on. I think the sports policies have to mention the welfare of the coaches. I still hear that a lot of coaches are still under contract and they still struggle and don't have permanent jobs. I think that is very, very important. We need to support the coaching. People who are interested in coaching, take care of, because that's their bread and butter. And if you want them to focus on the athletes and to bring medals, we need a good, system for coaches and see that they don't struggle. And I think I was lucky to train under Arif sir, and I had a consistent coaching and support system from Arif sir, and that's why I think I could, even dream of doing something big. So I think I'll be really happy if the sports policies include coaches' welfare and uplift them. I always believe this, that good coaches, you'll definitely have good players. And Gopi Bhaiya is an example, so encourage other coaches, give them the stability and hold them and give them the incentives which we as players get, and then I'm sure they will work hard towards. I think that's what is the missing link, is what I feel in our system. We don't talk about our coaches much.
That's a brilliant point. Taking care of the coaches. Yesterday, Gopi and I were sitting in his academy, and all of a sudden, and here, once again, ladies and gentlemen, these are important points. Telangana as a young state taking the lead.
Sorry, I'm interrupting. I want that our coaching system should become so strong that we don't depend on foreign coaches.
Absolutely.
In future.
Absolutely. So yesterday, and this actually brings me to this point, we were sitting and there were a few Mizo kids training out there. And I asked him, tell me a little bit more about these kids. And eventually I get to know that there are 10 Mizo coaches now working as part of the academy. So it's not just doing for Telangana, it's also doing for the rest of India. So Telangana taking the lead there, that's brilliant. So absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, once again, a state showing the way for the rest of the country. Stand out. Ambati, all of us are talking about coaches. You've just finished a career, accomplished cricketer, so much achievement. I'm going to give it back. Coaching, what's the thought? If there's one thing that you want to do as a possible coach, making a difference to the ecosystem in your state, what would that be?
Coming from Hyderabad, I have played here, I've grown up here, I've played junior cricket for Hyderabad. So Hyderabad has always had extraordinary talent. To nurture the talent, as Ajubhai said, we need very good infrastructure, very good coaches, and most importantly, I think coaching has to, develop a mindset to make sure, especially as a player, once you are transitioning into a coach, it is very, very important to put the player's priority first. So it's never about yourself, and especially coming from a team sport. I think sport as a whole, I feel, unites the community, unites a city like Hyderabad. People from various corners of the country come and live in Hyderabad, and in a team, we have people from different communities, different castes, different religions. It all brings together, and I feel the unison is what I feel is the greatest aspect of sport, and that is what Hyderabad should strive towards. And also, most importantly, what I feel having played the sport for 30 years, is the sport is slowly transitioning towards, people who have money. I think it is very, very important for the government to have a policy where even if a person who is talented has nothing and, is a poor man, still should have the facilities that are world class for him to, thrive and also come up, because that is very, very important. Because as you grow up, as Ajubai would rightly say, we all have grown up with absolutely nothing. But today that is not the case, and I think it is very, very important to, for the government to have a look at that.
Okay, again, so grassroots, facilities, there's a chain that we are talking about. So that's kind of uniting this panel on stage. Let me come to you, sir. As the chairman of the Sports Authority, and by the way, one thing that is missing as part of this panel, but again, Telangana has addressed that. As the moderator, it's my job to put that out. We are all celebrating able-bodied athletes here. Yesterday in Gopi's Academy, I met Deepthi Jivanji. Para-sport is something, disability sport, sensitivity, that's something that once again Telangana is taking a lead in. So Paralympic Games, para-sport, disability sport is something that I'm seeing being taken care of in this state, which as an analyst, as a scholar of sport, I don't see that happen. Sir, when I see Telangana, I see cricket, I see football, I see table tennis, I see badminton, I see boxing, I see Paralympic sport. So clearly, I see a holistic vision. Your thoughts on that?
అందరికీ నమస్కారం. తెలంగాణ ముఖ్యమంత్రి రేవంత్ రెడ్డి గారు వీటన్నింటి మీద అంటే గతంలో దాంతో పోలిస్తే చాలా మటుకు ఉమ్మడి ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్లో ఉండే దాంతో పోలిస్తే తెలంగాణ వచ్చిన తర్వాత ముఖ్యమంత్రి రేవంత్ రెడ్డి గారు స్పెషల్ స్పోర్ట్స్ మీద ప్రత్యేక టార్గెట్ పెట్టి స్పోర్ట్స్ని ఎంకరేజ్ చేస్తే ఈ హెల్దీ తెలంగాణ అంటే ప్రతి ఒక్కరూ హెల్తీగా ఉండాలంటే ఫస్ట్ స్పోర్ట్స్ ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఆ స్పోర్ట్స్కు ఏర్పాటు చేయాలి అని అంటే ఫస్ట్ గ్రాస్ రూట్ లెవెల్ నుంచి మొదలు పెట్టాలని సీఎం కప్ను మొదలు పెట్టడం జరిగింది. అది విలేజ్ లెవెల్ నుంచి, మండల్ లెవెల్ నుంచి, అదేవిధంగా డిస్టిక్ లెవెల్, స్టేట్ లెవెల్ వరకు తీసుకురావడం జరిగింది. అదేవిధంగానే కోచెస్ కొరత చాలా మటుకు ఉండే గతంలో. ఇప్పుడు ఆ కోచెస్ని కూడా స్పెషల్ కేసు తీసుకొని స్పెషల్గా కొత్త కోచెస్ని కూడా తీసుకురావడం జరుగుతూ ఉంది. దాంతోపాటు ఇందాక వీరు ఇచ్చిన సజెషన్స్తో పాటు వీటన్నింటినీ రాబోయే రోజుల్లో పెద్ద ఎత్తున తీసుకోవడానికి అందరం ముందుకు పోతున్నాం. ముఖ్యమంత్రి గారి విజన్, అదేవిధంగా మినిస్టర్ గారి విజన్, జయేష్ రంజన్ గారు కానీ, సోని బాల గారు కానీ, జితేందర్ రెడ్డి గారు కానీ, అంటే ఎంటైర్ తెలంగాణలో ఇందాక చెప్పినట్లు ఇండియా నుంచి ఒలింపిక్స్లో ఒక్క గోల్డ్ మెడల్ సాధించలేకపోయినామని ఒక బాధ ఉంది. నెక్స్ట్ ఇండియా మొత్తంలో తెలంగాణ నుంచి ద బెస్ట్ ప్లేయర్స్ని తయారు చేసే విధంగా ఈరోజు కార్యాచరణ సిద్ధం చేస్తున్నాం. దానికి ముఖ్యంగా కావాల్సింది గ్రౌండ్స్. ఆ గ్రౌండ్స్ మీద ఇప్పుడు కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్ చేసింది స్పోర్ట్స్ అథారిటీ ఆఫ్ తెలంగాణ. డిస్టిక్ లెవెల్స్ అండ్ స్టేట్ లెవెల్లో ఉండేటువంటి గ్రౌండ్స్ కంప్లీట్ చేసుకొని నెక్స్ట్ డిస్టిక్ లెవెల్ అండ్ విలేజ్ లెవెల్లో కూడా గ్రౌండ్స్ ఏర్పాటు చేయాలి. దానికి కావాల్సినటువంటి మినిమం అంటే ఏ విలేజ్లో ఏ స్పోర్ట్స్ మీద ఇంట్రెస్టెడ్గా ఉన్నారు అన్నది మన సీఎం కప్ ద్వారా ఒక లిస్ట్ అవుట్ తయారు చేసినాం. ఎవ్రీ విలేజ్లో అంటే ఒక అథ్లెటిక్స్ కానీ చాలామంది ప్లేయర్స్ దాదాపు 3.5 lakh పీపుల్స్లో 450 అంటే స్ట్రాంగ్ క్రీమ్ని ఈరోజు తీసుకురాగలిగినాం. వాళ్ళందరికీ ఇప్పుడు స్పెషల్ ట్రైనింగ్ ఇచ్చి నెక్స్ట్ వాళ్ళని ద బెస్ట్గా తయారు చేయాలన్న ఆలోచనతో తెలంగాణ గవర్నమెంట్ ముందుకు పోతా ఉంది. వన్స్ అగైన్ మరొకసారి మీ అందరికీ ధన్యవాదాలు. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Okay, so I was just asking Ambati to try and translate for me my deficiency. And again, it pleases me to know the plan for the districts and the grassroots, because you've created a clear pyramid, and that is what pleases me no end. Jitendra ji, as advisor to the sports department, if there's one thing that if you tell me that, okay, it's an Olympic gold quest leading up to 2030 Commonwealth Games or the 2036 Olympic Games, as Vita said, fingers crossed if India wins the bid. If there's one thing that you want to see, what I also think is Telangana should host a sport, because now it's no longer a city's games, it's a country's games. So if India gets it, whichever city hosts it, Telangana should also be a part of the overall thing, because that's what the IOC mandate is. But tell me, Jitendra ji, if there's one thing that you want to see over the next 4-5 years happen in your state, what is it?
Thank you very much. And the participant here, very good morning to you all. As you see that today in the rising Telangana, we have a very important role which is playing, that is sports. The earlier government last 10 years had totally neglected it, and we really didn't have funds also to run our sports and really see that our sportsmen had to participate in their games and all. But now, as we have got enthusiastic Chief Minister and as well as a very good Principal Secretary, Mr. J.S. Ranjan, who is also taking up a lot of efforts into bringing sports back into Telangana, and we have got a enthusiastic sports minister, Mr. Srihari, Waket Srihari, and as well as a very good chairman here. And under their rule, now sports is really shining. As you see, many events in the last 2 years have occurred in Hyderabad, like the international football and the badminton matches and the hockey matches. And today, yesterday we had a supercross motorcycle competitions, and now on the 13th we are getting Messi also into Hyderabad. There is a lot of craze now because of the efforts from the government and as well as our Chief Minister. And with the efforts of our Principal Secretary, Mr. J.S. Ranjan, we had released our sports policy, where sports policy has been released, and now he also has crafted a university for already our, I can see our Vice Chancellor sitting in front of us, who has, I think, resumed his duty just 2 days back. And we have got a lot of hope that as myself, Mr. J.S. Ranjan, Mr. Shiv Sena, we all had visited Brisbane, Australia, the universities and all, and have seen the sports universities. Definitely, we hope that this Telangana University will be one of the best universities for the sportsmen here. And not only that, we have a FIFA Academy which have been given for the first time for the girls also here, which is the first time in India, which has been, not only India, I think it's the second in the world also. And now, coming to, as you have said, that the events which have to be happen. As a sports advisor, and I am also the Olympic Association State President here. With this, we are meeting a lot of people in the central. We have met Mansukh Mandiaji, who is the sports minister in Delhi, and have requested him for Khelo India. As we have seen that we already have a good infrastructure in Hyderabad. Like we have already done the nationals here in 2022, and we have done the military games. The World Military Games were conducted in Hyderabad. So with a lovely infrastructure which we have here, we have asked them for Khelo India, and I'm sure that very shortly it will be announced for us. And also, we have met recently P.T. Ushaji, and have asked for the national games also to be allotted to us. So these type of events in which we are going ahead and we are progressing on to that, and events after events we are trying to make in Telangana, so that the past glory which we had in Telangana as for the sports will come up, and definitely in the Commonwealth Games, lot of our participants will participate. I think our great Azharuddin, who is a cricket player and a well-known stalwart in Hyderabad, has now again come back into the field. Sindhu is here, Jwala is here, Gopichand is here. With all their experiences and all, we think that Telangana will again rise, and it's already rising, and it will definitely reach the sun. That is what I think. Thank you very much.
Nice. One could have continued, this is a panel with which you can continue for hours. But obviously there's another panel to follow, and you've got a whole day packed events. The one point that I'll take from Jitendra ji is the link between sport and education. Having taught in universities across the world, whether it's Loughborough, whether it's Toronto, whether it's Chicago, I will tell you that the sports facilities, the integration between academia and sport is something that is lacking in India. So I'm absolutely delighted in seeing this initiative to do a sports university. One story from me, and then I'll close with Jayesh Ranjanji and our Honorable Minister. For me, what is sport? What does sport teach all of us? Sport teaches all of us to lose, because every loss is a stepping stone to success. This day, for example, ladies and gentlemen, is not a perfect day. Nothing is perfect. But the quest for all of us is to be perfect in an imperfect day. And that's what sport teaches us. Take the example of Nikhat Zareen. Good to give you, because a localite, and she's not here. So I'll tell you a 30-second Nikhat story and close with Jayesh ji and our minister. So when Nikhat started boxing, there was no facility here in Hyderabad. So she goes there and comes home with a black eye. So her mother says, "Shadi nahi hoga. Iske baad to family mein problem ho jayega." So somehow she continues to box and she says, "Jab main world championship jeet jaungi, uske baad दूल्हों का line lag jayega, aap dekh lena." So she goes on, wins the world championship in the US, and the previous night she once again had a black eye in training. Now she gets on a call with her mother, and the mother sees the black eye and said, "What happened?" And she said, "Oh, training mein ho gaya." She said, "Koi farak nahi padta, aisa hota rehta hai, kal theek ho jayega." That's the change. That is the Telangana rising that I want to see. And now, with every Nikhat Zareen bout, it's her mother sitting in the first row and shouting, "Mar or Mar." That is the Telangana of tomorrow. The dominance, the lead, the leadership, and as I see, optimism. Jayesh ji, the one thing that you want to accomplish, being in a position of authority, what is the one thing that you want to tell my audience today that you want to see happen here in the next couple of years?
Thank you. Thank you, Moria, for moderating a very interesting panel. So, all the while we have spoken about sports persons and athletes who are serious, who can be groomed and nurtured, and hopefully they represent the country and bring glory. But I also want to emphasize on behalf of the government that we also want to promote a culture of fitness. So whether you become champion athletes or not, even for recreation purposes, play some sports, remain active. And of course, you began the panel by discussing physical literacy. So this again is an important thing. And schools are going to be the focal points. When you are a young student, this ambition, this hope that's becoming active and trying to do well in some sport is as important as doing good in studies. So that is again an important priority for us.
Brilliant. Minister Saab, you started the show, so why don't you tell me, because ultimately this is a world where we see wars, we see negativity, we see toxicity, but when it's sport, it unites us all. Do we know what religion? We don't care. Do we know what caste? We don't care. Gender? We don't care. Sport ultimately is real. It brings all of us together. Your final words.
Thank you. बात रह गई है जब अज्जू भाई और हमारा जमाना था, जब केले ग्राउंड जाते तो पापा मम्मी ने लकड़ी लेके आते थे, दे मारते थे, पहले पढ़ बाद में खेल भी बंद कर। आज ऐसा चेंज हुआ, अगर आज बच्चे लोग पढ़ने जा रहे के लिए पढ़ते, पहले जाके खेल, मतलब इतना चेंज हो गया सोचने में। और मैं ये मंच से जो बड़े बड़े यहाँ पे स्टार्स बैठे हुए हैं, हमारे चेयरमैन साहब हैं, हमारे एडवाइजरी वेरी एसोसिएशन प्रेसिडेंट भी है तेलंगाना का, और जयेश रंजन सर भी है, मैं सब ये मंच से मैं मैसेज देना चाहता हूँ। आजकल बच्चे लोग जो दिल लगा के नहीं खेलते हैं, एक बात याद रखना, आप बहुत किस्मत वाले भी हैं और बदकिस्मत वाले भी हैं। किस्मत इसलिए कि आपके पेरेंट्स आपको एनकरेज कर रहे हैं खेलने के लिए, बदकिस्मती इसके लिए वो जो जुनून होना है प्लेयर को, जो इन्वॉल्वमेंट होना है प्लेयर को, जो जिंदगी ही अगर गेम बन के अगर नहीं जी पाया, नहीं खेल पाया, आजकल शौक ज़्यादा हो गया, वो अच्छा ड्रेस पहनता है तो कोई देखता रहता है, दोस्त फोटो खींचता नहीं खींचता करके, और खेलते समय उसके दिमाग में क्या रहता है, मेरे गेम कोई देख रहा नहीं देख रहा करके। अरे सब मेरे बारे में कुछ बात कर रहे नहीं कर रहे, उसका सोच रह जाता है। तो मैं वो प्लेयर्स के लिए मैं बताता हूँ, टाइम वेस्ट मत करना। अगर वैसा शौक आपको पब्लिक देखने की है, फोटो खींचने की है, प्लीज आप स्पोर्ट्स छोड़ दे के पढ़ा लीजिए और आपका समय बर्बाद मत करिए। अगर जिसको खेलना है, खेल ही भगवान है, अगर खेल ही माँ बाप है, खेल ही उसका दुनिया है, और खेल के लिए वो जिया है और खेल के लिए जो मरता है वो ग्राउंड में उतरिए, खेलिए। आप दुनिया के लिए सोच रही है, वो सोचो मत। जब आप दुनिया के लिए सोचेंगे तो कुछ नहीं बन पाओगे। अगर आपका गेम ही दुनिया बन के अगर खेलोगे, सारी दुनिया आपके तरफ देखेगी, ताली मारेगी, आप खंदा उठाएगी, इस पूरा वर्ल्ड को दिखाएगी। प्लीज प्लेयर्स को मेरा रिक्वेस्ट है, जब तक आपका इन्वॉल्वमेंट नहीं होता है गेम में, जब आप गेम को ही भगवान नहीं समझते, जिंदगी नहीं समझते, अगर गेम से कुछ हासिल आपको कुछ होता नहीं है, आपका जिंदगी खराब हो जाती है। अरे आप बहुत किस्मत वाले हैं, पेरेंट्स कई मतलब आशा लेके, कई पैसे इन्वेस्टमेंट करके, टाइम इन्वेस्टमेंट करके फ्यूचर बना के रखा है आपके लिए। आप जो है ना वो इन्वॉल्वमेंट छोड़ दे के खाली पीली टाइम वेस्ट मत करिए। आज तेलंगाना ऐसा एक प्लेटफॉर्म है जहां सीएम कप के माध्यम से या नहीं जहां गांव से जो प्लेयर्स को हम निकाल के स्क्रूटनी करके उनको एक बड़ा प्लेटफॉर्म पे देखने का, दिखाने का कोशिश कर रहे हैं। आज तेलंगाना तैयार है खिलवाने के लिए। हम सब प्लेयर्स को इनवाइट करते हैं, भाई आप दिल लगा के, मन लगा के ग्राउंड में उतरिए। हम पूरा दुनिया को आपको आपका नाम दिखा देंगे, रोशन करेंगे। आपके ऊपर आपका पेरेंट्स एक ही निर्भर नहीं है। चाहे आप समझते होंगे अगर मैं अच्छा खेलता हूं तो मेरे माँ बाप का नाम आता है, नहीं, आप माँ बाप के देश के लिए खेलना है, तेलंगाना के लिए खेलना है। इंटरनेशनल में अपना देश का नाम जब रौनक हो जाएगा उसके लिए खेलना है। हम सब भी आपके ऊपर बहुत डिपेंडेंट है। मेरी तरफ से यही बताना चाहता हूं प्लेयर्स को, मेहरबानी होती है अगर इस गेम में जब उतरते हैं तो दिल तोड़ के, मतलब पूरा दिल लगा के उतरना है, अपन हासिल करना है। तेलंगाना में भी एक क्रीड़ा प्रेमी है जो समझे तो आज इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे भी పొన్నం ప్రభాకర్ जी मंच पे आ जाइए, వేం నరేంద్ర గారు రండి. అండ్ మీ అందరికి తెలియజేసుకుంటూ, చిన్నారులారా ప్రపంచం చూడాలి, నన్ను ఎవరైనా పక్క వాళ్ళు చూస్తున్నారా, నా ఫోటో తీస్తున్నారా, నా రికార్డ్ చేస్తున్నారనే ఆలోచనతో ఆడకండి దయచేసి. మీకు మీ పేరెంట్స్ ఒక్కరే కాదు, మేమంతా కూడా మీ మీద ఆశలు పెట్టుకున్నాం. మీరు ఆటనే దైవంగా ఆడండి, ఖచ్చితంగా ఆటనే సర్వమని ఆడండి. ప్రపంచం మీదకు చూసే రోజు ఖచ్చితంగా వస్తుంది అని చెప్పి తెలియజేస్తూ ముగిస్తా ఉన్నా. జై హింద్.
Okay, so I know the next session is almost there. So let's finish on this line. We are talking about Telangana rising. Next time when we meet, let's
And there's a story which he keeps telling us. He says, if you borrow 1 lakh and don't return it, it's your problem. If you borrow 100 crores and don't return it, it's the bank's problem. So I think we should stop, which he keeps mentioning in meetings. I think we should stop ourselves from reaching that stage by some means possible.
That's a great point. And I have seen the Deputy CM also make some very insightful observations like these on credit. Now I can see where these insights were coming from. So when we were in a meeting, Prasanna and I were shocked by one of the, like positively shocked by one of the things he said about microfinance. And now I can see where his insights were coming from. Anyway, so moving on, I have one more question to KB, and then we can take questions from the audience if there are any. So there are, all these theses we have built around innovation, that there are lots of calls and also some initiatives about the state acting as a venture capital. So state investing in some of these companies. Now, the counterpoint to that is that the state does not have the ability to pick winners. So the state should not be doing this. That is another view. I wanted to know what he feels like and what is the general policymaker's perspective on a proposal like this. And then I would actually also ask Prasanna if he has any view on this.
Yeah, thanks Aditya. I mean, this is something. Now we actually come down to nuts and bolts of what the Deputy CM and the Finance Department do, or the Planning Department deal with on a daily basis. Now the thing is, it's great, it's a great idea in practice, so I'm sorry, in principle for the state to be involved in venture capital. And by the way, it's been done all across. I think Abhijit Banerjee has written very eloquently about the SIB at the